The law of gender is how you manifest balance into your life. And by the end of this video, you're not only going to know what the law of gender is, but you're going to be able to use it in practical terms to manifest balance into your life, sometimes instantly. But first, hi, I am Urban Magic Hopkins, and I am excited to bring you this topic for today. Now, before we begin, we need to tap into the proper beat of thinking. So here's a magic trick to help you put on your literal thinking hat to get the right beat of thinking. All right, so picture this. You're a kid and you're watching your grandmother clean and cook, all right? And so you tell your grandmother in a conversation that every time you turn around, you get sick. And then your grandmother is so confused and she stops in earnest and she turns around to you and she says, then stop turning around then. All right, so you get the frame of thinking. So let's get into what is the law of gender. The law of gender is the simplest and most basic form of our understanding of the concept of balance and how to apply it. And if you can understand that, then you can deliberately manifest balance into your life. So here's exactly what the law of gender is. The law of gender is the representation and the usage of masculine and feminine energies. Now, that's not speaking to our physical characteristics or our physical manifestation or our physical gender. We're talking about energy, where masculine usually is represented by that go energy, and feminine is usually represented by that nurture energy. So there is masculine and feminine energies, and that's how this is explained and represented. But I think they made it too simple. So let's complex that theory just a little bit. We'll call it do and receive energy. And somewhere within this cycle of creation, there must be receptivity, not just doing. Even if it's just one slither of a moment. So for example, you cannot receive the reward until you have first received the feedback. So let's bring up the textbook to see what it actually says about it. All right, so the law of gender. All things derive of masculine or feminine qualities. We call this creation. Both are required to exist. So since we have on our literal thinking hat, let's think about that. In order to create life, there must be masculine and feminine, or a give and a receptivity mode. All right. And so in order for the law of attraction to exist, there must be the law of gender, because the law of gender explains creation. But to order to help you better understand this concept, we're going to pick on language for a little while. So I think language is a really good representation to help us really put on our thinking hat of how some things can be represented by masculine or feminine energies. So let's pick French for a little while, parce que je parle petit peu de français. Let's pick on some words within French to really help you get this idea. So some things that come to my mind is the word le chien. Le chien. Le chien means the dog. So not only is that a phallic symbol, the dog represents man's best friend, someone that is dependable, someone that can put in the work outside, just typically from a language perspective. You also have le livre, which is the book, knowledge, and le soleil, which means the sun, which is where we get our energy from. But also on the feminine side, with the la, you have la maison, which is a house. And if you think about a house, it carries a whole family, kind of like how a woman can carry a womb. So hope this is helping you get the idea of how some things can be represented by masculine or feminine qualities. And in language, it's given these articles with la, and they're given masculine and feminine. So la voiture for car is another one. And la table, which is the table, which is represented by the role of nurturing. All right. So Another aspect of this to help us really get this in actual terms is speaking in conversation to help you better understand and get your message across by using the law of gender. How? Well, for me, that's pausing when I'm speaking. Otherwise, it could sound unnatural. So sometimes we just need to take a chill pill, basically. So for us, we get the action. I think that's pretty easy. That's that you're doing too much energy. So let's get into a little bit more about receiving. So for me, whenever I go through a cycle, I sit on the couch and an etheric effect eventually happens. That is when that spark of that overlap between universal law and psychology happens. So let me give you a practical example. The job process. You apply, you search, you apply, you might network, you apply, you eventually might get an interview, and then there's a space between doing all this effort and getting the offer. So every cycle has to have a balance of masculine, that's doing energy, and the feminine energy of receiving. Within every cycle, at some point, there has to be a cycle or a season or a moment, even a slither of receptivity that is the cycle. Because if you think about it, how else can you receive the job offer if you're constantly talking? So think about it. You're selling yourself, but the person you're selling yourself to has decided at some point that they want to hire you, but literally thinking they can't get that message across if you're hired. If you're saying, I'm a great worker, I'm a hard worker, I don't want to work remote, but maybe we could work it out, or well, and they want to get to, we want to hire you, but you keep talking. At some point, you have to receive that message in order to move forward within that job application process of search, apply, interview, network, blank space between the offer. And that is, for me, when I go sit on the couch, take a chill pill, just kind of chill and see what comes to me. Fun fact, the last job I got it when I took a nap. So I was stressed out. I wasn't really that happy that day. And I just said, just forget it. I'm just going to go take a nap. So I laid down on the bed, took a nap just right in the middle of the day. And then I was woken up by a phone call from someone that I know that says, hey, would you be willing to do a job, and list the circumstances? And my response was, heck yeah. So that's how that came. If I was constantly working, if I was constantly going, if I was only in that masculine energy that we love of do, and I know you have that because you landed here. So at some point I needed to stop and I needed to take a chill pill, if not just to satisfy that universal law of receiving. I took a nap, I set my intentions, I took a nap, and the job came. Boom, that's when the magic happens. Okay, so that's that do receive energy. But there's another part of the law of gender, and that is called gestation. Now, gestation is that period within the womb that it takes the time for a baby to incubate and to become a baby. So there are different gestation periods for us as well. Also, pickles are something that have a gestation. And actually, how about I show you one of my own pickles, just for an example. So pickles have a gestation period as well. Whenever you make a pickle, it could take 3 to 4 months to make. And there's a way to make an incubation period for pickles to go much faster. How? Well, I could slice the pickles a little thinner and I could put them in the refrigerator, and instead of that longer time, it shortens it and I could have pickles in 24 to 72 hours. Now, why do I mention pickles? What kind of pickles is this? We made another deal. I made this pickle back in 2023. So why do I mention pickles and incubation and the law of gender? Well, think about it. Everything has a gestation period, including your ideas and thoughts. Our actions are aligned with our thoughts, and that could speed the process. Okay, so let's go back to our job process interview and stay with me here. So we have search, apply, apply, network, apply, maybe get an interview, space between the offer. So in this period, there are ways to speed up that gestation period. How? Well, let's just say during this process, what if we applied less and network more? So instead of apply, network, apply, interview, it could be apply, network, interview, okay? And that shortens that gestation period between you doing all this action, in order to receive that offer. So that's how you can instantly manifest balance into your life. And stick around because my very next video is going to be how to manifest fitness. Looking forward to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Oh wait, I didn't go anywhere. I'm just invisible.